Yo guys, what's up? It's Alex from Gymlex Studio. In this video we will add UI, domain and data, and we will save something to the user defaults. As you see in my comment, I added a link which refers to the developer documentation from Android, but it's fine. Now we need to add the domain target and we also need to add the data target. The domain target has a dependency to the data target and the UI target has a dependency to the domain target. We also want to add the test targets of domain and data. This might be an overkill, but I just like the UI domain data logic because it makes things tidied up and everything which happens with data is in the data target, and in domain we have business logic if we need business logic. We also have to create the folders because otherwise Xcode will say there's a bug although there isn't one. And we also will create some placeholder files. They're just empty files so Xcode doesn't complain anymore. But Xcode is doing Xcode things and I just closed Xcode and I run twist generate again because I don't know what happened. I have no idea why Xcode complained. And after running twist generate again, it worked. What we want to do now is to add some keys. Actually, we want to add only one key because we only need one key for the user defaults currently, the onboarding completed key. And we can also rename the file, just press enter. Xcode did Xcode things again, so I opened only the package and now it's working. We can rename the file to keys. And now in the onboarding data folder, we will create a new folder and we will call it reminder setup. You don't need it, but I like it. So I just made it. In this folder, we will create a new Swift file and we will name it onboarding completed. And now we want to create a protocol. It has to be public because of the different targets, and name it onboarding completed, and we will add a func completed. Let's change it to complete because completed sounds weird. And this function has to be called after the onboarding is finished. Now let's implement the class. And because we are working with user defaults, we want to import foundation. We'll create a public final class default onboarding completed, which implements the onboarding completed protocol. We will create a variable let user defaults of the type user defaults with initializer, and we will default it. And we will create a public func complete. And this public func sets the user defaults for the key we created. In the domain folder in the file, we will create a public protocol and call it reminder setup interactor. And in this protocol, we want to implement the func onboarding finished. And I like to add comments to public functions, so I added it. We will also import onboarding data because we need to access it. We will create a public final class default reminder setup interactor, which implements the reminder setup interactor protocol. We will create the variable let onboarding completed and a public initializer, and we will default it. We will also create a public func onboarding finished and call onboarding completed.complete. As you can see, I have one times a capital B and one times a small b, and I will change it. For the keys, I changed it already, and I wanted to use the refactor function from Xcode, but Xcode is doing Xcode things again, so I have to do it manually. I will speed it up for you. And in the onboarding domain, we will also create a folder and call it reminder setup. We don't need it because we only have the reminder setup folders, but I like it to do it straight away. And we will put the file reminder setup interactor in this folder. And we still have an error. Let's clean and build again, and then it should work. Now something more general. Maybe you're asking yourself, Alex, why aren't you writing any tests there? Your test coverage is under 80% and whatever. We don't have any logic here. We are just calling our classes, our functions, etc. So we don't test it. if we have something like this, if Alex, whatever, and we only call UserDefaults.set if this is true, we can test it because we have logic. If not, we don't need to test it. There's no need. Yes, the code coverage is down, but this is why our code coverage is not a good indicator. And we will create system tests or UI tests, call it whatever you want later, and we will test it anyway. So just wait a bit. Now let's go to our reminder setup screen model. And if the case is skip, we want to call our interactor. What we have to do is we create a variable letInteractor of the type reminder setup interactor. And for this, we have to import the onboarding domain. But as you can see, it doesn't find it here. That's because I forgot it. So we have to change it in package.swift. In the package.swift file, in the onboarding UI target, we want to add the dependency for onboarding domain. And now we can use it. Now, back in our screen model, we want to add the interactor. We write letInteractor of the type. I made a mistake there. It's the reminder setup interactor. I wrote onboarding interactor and I was wondering why it didn't work. You know the solution. We have to add an initializer and we also can add the view state if we want. But for now, let's go with the interactor of the type reminder setup interactor. I made the mistake here, so you can just do it right. And I was wondering why it didn't work. And we will default it because we do not want to force the injection. I will skip a bit. And by the way, we can also add the view state. So if you want to test your view with the previews, you can add the view state here. But we will remove it later again because we don't need it for now. Let me speed it up a bit. And yes, if you do it right from the beginning, it's pretty easy, but I made a mistake. And now, after we added the interactor, in the case skip, we have to call interactor.onboardingFinished. And I want to add a to-do comment here because I have to show the next screen. And because we added SwiftLint in the past video, I will get a warning, so I will not forget it. Now, let me show you something. We refactored the file and the comment still says file.swift. You remember we implemented Swift format in one of our last videos. And this is one of the reasons why. If we just run Swift format, the header changes, you see a lot of files changed. I don't know why we created date change, I have no idea, but anyways. Guys, if you have any questions, let us know in the comments. See you in the next video. Bye.
Like the video if you liked the video, dislike the video if you disliked the video, subscribe if you want to be notified on our future content. We are also on Instagram and Facebook. Feel free to follow us there as well. And have a great day. Start creating, stop consuming.